The scene is set in Nobility Hill, in John Stanhope's luxurious apartment haven. He is driving back from his meeting with High Cal, the Malkavian, and is considering his position within the city. It seems little has changed since his departure. More and more problems are appearing. Problems he has to deal with, one at a time, and in swift order too. The Ventrue elders will not tolerate failure, and with such a small time frame, it certainly gives expedience to John's work. He sits in contemplation before rapping on the driver's seat, telling Geoffrey to turn around and head to the casino. The car swings round. There was no time for rest. John would have to make sure that everything was ready, and he always thought better within the confines of the theatre's catacombs, safe from the prying eyes of other kindred. His meeting with High Cal was curious. The Malkavian was clearly deranged, being affected by whatever's in this asylum, perhaps. Or maybe it's just his demeanour that upsets John so. His lack of subtlety or subterfuge, his blasé innocence. It's a strange being. Something John can't comprehend. He thinks for a while and picks up the phone, calling his contacts within First Armed Security and Dragonstone. Hello. Yes. I would like a renovation to the security measures on the von Hunsbrook Manor. Yes, I am aware that it is already being serviced for security. I would like that security to also be able to listen and watch within the confines of the building and have the information direct towards the security company under my own purview. Thank you. Yes, yes. Do not worry about the expense. Just bill me. And he hangs up. John smiles. A simple measure, but he cannot afford another debacle like Wraith. Despite the naivety of High Cal, other members of Clan Malkavian might not be so pliable. And to keep an eye on that chaotic clan would not hurt, especially if they did not know about it. I do not want to put Mr. O'Connell in a situation where he might be in danger. John thinks that is a suitable answer to give. In all honesty, John can't remember why he's even looking after Mr. O'Connell. It drained his resources and his time. Sometimes he would sit there looking at the kindred he used to call friend. And wonder why he bothered. Out of habit. Most likely. A vague straw of his tattered humanity that he still clings to. The idea of loyalty is still prevalent in John. Members of his coterie were there for him when he needed them. And if High Cal can do as he says, and awaken Mr. O'Connell, that would be another ally in the city that John desperately needs. So yes, he will spy on the Malkavians' new clubhouse, which we will lavishly decorate. They will want for nothing, and remember the generosity of the Ventrue when John needed them. On the drive, he sits back and contemplates the city. First things first. I will need protection. The ghouls in my employ, as well as my own particular abilities, will serve, but occasionally I need some dirty work doing. And unfortunately, his last attempt at having a neonate coterie serve as his bagman didn't go so well. When Cole tore the young Brujah apart, such a waste. And it seems that the kindred of the city just forget such impasses. Most were afraid of Cole, his age and his power, denoting, but strength isn't the only measure of a kindred. Cunning and political acumen will serve through. So John makes a mental list, sends a quick few emails to make sure that 5 of the most apt members of the security branch, those without families, those career-driven members, trained to the peak of physical fitness, will be brought for special duty. John will make time in his schedule to make sure that they're truly conditioned. He will not fall into the trap like Reb Aronson did of creating too many ghouls, ones that cannot be controlled. No. Simply mortals, undetectable, apart from under John's control. Now that he has unlocked the powers of Dominate, such willing servants were easy to come by. So, support of the clans. Ventrue will be behind me, and with this influx of new membership, perhaps we can start rebuilding and reclaiming our rightful place in this city. With a little guidance, they can start developing their influence, soon with a stranglehold on the city's infrastructure, making it imperative for all clans to come to us when it comes to controlling and maintaining the masquerade. He was confident in his clan. The Tremere, on the other hand, although staunch allies, John is not foolish enough to think they did what they did out of altruism or the betterment of the city. They did it because they wished for a puppet prince, one beholden to their clan. And although John is fully aware of this, he does not mind overly much. Puppet prince is better than no prince at all, and they had similar views on the organization of the city. A couple of positions here and there to keep them sweet, and a structured camarilla fort will please the Tremere until they start overstepping themselves. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The Nosferatu will need to be joined. Miss Lucas was more than willing to join our little alliance, and John had been generous with the screechy female Nosferatu in giving away a prime hotel. But that was not solid. That was not guaranteed loyalty. He would need to speak with Karl Voltaire The kindred seemed cunning and political enough to understand the benefits of a mutually beneficial relationship. If the Tremere, Nosferatu, and Ventrue can work hand in hand with minimal squabble, then we will be the powerhouse of this city. The Malkavians seem to be in pocket, but John will have to listen in on their conversations and see what moves they make. It does not hurt John to be generous at this early stage. The Toreador. John winces. He's never had to consider the Toreador before. Not as enemies, at least. His paramour Calliope, or ex-paramour, I suppose, was always his staunch ally. Now, her maddening desires have driven a wedge between the two. John considers, perhaps it is worth swallowing my pride and cementing that relationship once again. I cannot afford to have the Toreador offside. There are precious few within the city, and I need as many allies as possible if I'm to retain Princeton. The Gangrel will support Cole. The Brujah are weak, but to have their support would not harm his situation. Cole destroyed the Primogen's child, but I doubt even that act will endear the Brujah to the Ventrue. Such enmity they hold for our clan, for no apparent reason. Perhaps I shall take a measure again of this Brujah Primogen. But there are so many things to consider. The Giovanni and the Anarchs working alongside each other, gearing up for war against the Camarilla. That is troubling news. Something Cole will take to his advantage. For a less combat-capable kindred like myself, I will have less chance to prove myself to the city's populace in a conflict. If I had the strength to just wipe them away from the city. The Lord believes that we can compromise with the Anarchs. Put them within a trap. This has been done before. But if he could be successful, if he could do the impossible and have the Anarchs behave themselves, have them controlled, at least to some measure, why, that would be a feather in the Ventrue's cap. Something that not even Wolf could do. The Giovanni were another problem. Too powerful to crush completely, and too influential to chase out of the city. But they still have too much. Of all the things in the city, his greatest failure was failing to attain that prison. It seems that the Gangrel and the Giovanni are destined to be John's enemies. Something will need to be done. Now that the Ventrue clan's numbers have swelled. If I can attain Princeton, I can start using the information gathered by Schmidt and Voltaire to start chipping away at that power base. Subtly, of course. We do not want to anger our neighbours. The asylum, however, is something John can't control. Something that even he is afraid of. It can get into his mind and make him lose control, and in a poor moment, if it was timed at a critical point in his political career. It could ruin everything. It needed to be dealt with, stripped clean, wiped away. But how to do that? He still did not have enough control of the city to do all that he wanted. Soon the car drives into the car park of the Odyssey Casino. The theatre complex is quiet for this evening. He hops out and goes to the staff entrance, heading straight downstairs to the basement. The place is dark and foreboding, comforting. He feels the beast rise within him again. It has been a while since he has taken his medication. Moving into his lab, he comes across the various beakers and apparatus he uses to splice the latest vitae with his medical concoctions. Taking a long draught of the thick red vitae and feeling its numbing sensation wash over him, feeling his mind quiet. And then a small ritual. As he winds through the labyrinth underneath his domain, he opens a door to see a small, kindred girl, young Sarah. She smiles, a toothy, canine grin. "Father!" she exclaims, running to him. He holds her tenderly, brushing her hair with his hand. "Have you been good for Gerald?" "I have been, Father, just like you told me." "Yes." "You're a good girl, Sarah. You'll always do what your father tells you." "Of course, Father," she replies. "When will I get to see the angel, Father?" "Soon, my dear. When you have completed your lessons and Daddy's work is done. Then this whole city will be your playground, child. And I will make sure that you will have plenty of brothers and sisters." End of scene.